Top players of the Duelist Cup used and abused a broken card that I believe Konami will be banning on the very next ban list that could be tonight or tomorrow. Artifact Mjollnir is able to completely lock your opponent out of special summoning on their next turn, essentially making this pretty much a first turn kill. On MasterDuelMeta.com, we have the Duelist Cup top 100 decks here. We'll also look at the top decks page. We'll click on Tournament, and we'll click on Gem Knight, and then right there, Artifact Mjollnir in all the latest decks that were using and abusing it in the Duelist Cup, even in a top 8 of a recent tournament. And this is a deck list from Articuno, who got rank 2 global using and abusing the Mjollnir. Here we have for combo 1, Brilliant Fusion plus any other card in our hand. It does not matter. This card is what Konami newly unlimited, which I believe is a big mistake because we could now use and abuse the Mjollnir by sending it from the deck to the grave plus a Neprum. That will be triggering the Neprum to discard whatever we have in our hand to reborn itself onto the field, and that's after we summon the Seraphim Knight. Now we're going to be searching for a Dispersion. Dispersion will be searching for a Gem Armadillo. Armadillo will be additionally normal summoned, searching our deck for the Hollow Core. Hollow Core is going to special summon by sending a Gem Knight Fusion from the deck to the graveyard, and now we can perform a Link 2 into the Quartz. Quartz will be searching for another copy of Dispersion. Because we have a Gem Knight Fusion engraved, we could use the deck to Fusion Summon with the Dispersion second activation, summoning a second copy of the Seraphim Knight. Now, we're going to use the Quartz when sent to the grave to add back from the grave the Neprum to our hand, additionally summon that Neprum, as we now link both of them off into Moon of the Closed Heaven. Now, Quartz is going to pay 1,000 to fuse with the grave or banishment to come forth and summon onto the field Diamond Dispersion. Now, what's very important about this combo is with the Hollow Core engrave, while we have a Gem Knight Fusion on the field, if they were to activate anything, this will negate by banishing itself plus 2 other Gem Knights, and that would be the Gem Knight Fusion and the Neprum. Let's further make our plays, going into the rank 5 Xyz Princess. Princess will be detaching material to reborn the Mjollnir onto the opponent's side of the field. Now, in addition to being able to negate anything with the Hollow Core because we have Diamond Dispersion on the field, they now are blocked from using Impermanence. Now, let me explain what happened with the Mjollnir being summoned onto their field. This can be quite confusing. If we look at the card, it states that if it was special summoned during your opponent's turn, we are the opponent and we gave it to them, so it's going to be activating this effect. Target 1 artifact monster in the graveyard. They don't have any, so how is this a legal activation? Well, it is a mandatory activation. You activate it whether it will resolve its effect or not. It then says special summon it in defense. Well, there's nothing to special summon, and then here's the real kicker. It says also, you cannot special summon monsters until the end of the next turn except artifact monsters. If the also were to say if you do, or if it were to say then, it would not work. But because it says also, it does not matter that nothing was summoned. It does not matter that they don't have an artifact in grave, and now they are completely locked out from special summoning during their next turn, essentially a first turn kill. Let's continue with our plays, as they cannot impermus. They also, if they were to activate anything, we would use the Hollow Core engrave to negate. Come forth, Crimson Tear from the deck. We could speed this up. Send from the deck an engraver. We're going to further link these 2 bodies off into a Fiendsmith sequence. Sequence will be fusing with the graveyard, as we're going to reborn, I should say summon into a Fiendsmith Lacrima. Now we're going to reborn or add back to the hand if we have not used our Fiendsmith Tract yet. Thus, we're going to tract, add a Lurie, discard the Lurie. Lurie reborn itself onto the field, as we're now going to use the effect of engraver to reborn itself by returning back into the deck a Light Fiend. We're now going to use the Fiendsmith Tract to fuse with the field. 3 bodies come forth into the Fiendsmith Desiree. Now we're going to add back the Gem Knight Fusion to our hand. We're going to be linking off these 2 bodies into the Abao. Now, what did we accomplish here in addition to completely locking them out from special summoning? Well, we have an untargetable Desiree, which could non-target negate up to 2 cards in the field. Spell trap monster does not matter. We also have the Hollow Core in graveyard, which as long as we have 2 other Gem Knights plus a Gem Knight Fusion on the field, it will be able to negate anything. And then we also have the Abao, which can non-target during the main phase of either player's turn, discard the card from our hand, which is the Gem Knight Fusion, which could then destroy any card on the field without targeting, or it could banish itself until the end phase and then reborn a light or dark monster from our grave. Let's showcase a little bit of that. I don't know why this is on the screen. Non-target pop any card in the field within the main phase, and now Abao has another play. If for some reason you have a really bad hand and you're not able to end the duel, well, the Abao will help with that, because during the standby phase of the next turn, after they were not able to special summon, she is now triggering a crazy effect. Are you ready? Draw. Draw 4 cards. You what, mate? Now you have to return a bunch of them back. For per card you drew, you return them back, but essentially you get a full mulligan. You'll likely have other cards in your hand also, and then we'll keep the Dispersion and then win from There. Now let's perform the combo with one engraver plus any other card in our hand. This is quite a complex combo. If you mess up anything, it will not be performed correctly. Let's follow through and make sure step by step you do exactly what I do, as we're going to engraver search our deck for a Tract. Tract is going to activate search for a Luri. Luri is going to be reborn after discarding. Now we're going to be linking it off into Requiem. Requiem's going to jump off, summon from the deck a Crimson Tear. Crimson Tear is going to activate to send from the deck an engraver. Engraver's going to return back the Luri, reborn back onto the field. Let's link to this up into our sequence. Now, let's fuse with our Graver, returning back the Requiem and Engraver to make the Fiendsmith Lacrima. Fiendsmith Lacrima is going to reborn the Engraver from the grave onto the field. And now we're going to link off these two bodies into a Sprint. Sprint requires a level/rank/link to monster to make. It's going to activate to send from the deck. And we're also going to use the Lacrima to return back the sequence because we can afford to. And what's very important is that we have Lacrima engraved. As we send the Crystal Rose, which has to banish a fusion from the graveyard to reborn. And now with the Crystal Rose, we're going to send from the deck a Neprum. Neprum's going to trigger when sent to the grave to discard any card from the hand. On summon, it's going to search for a Dispersion. Dispersion will be searching for the Armadillo. We're going to additionally normal summon the Armadillo with the effect of the Neprum, which we're then going to search for a Hollow Core. Hollow Core is going to get the Gemnite Fusion from the deck into the grave. And now we're going to be linking off these two bodies into the Quartz. Quartz will be grabbing from the deck our Dispersion. We're going to use the Gemnite Fusion engraved to banish the engraved Neprum to add back to our hand. We're going to Gemnite Fusion, fuse with the Sprind and the Crystal Rose into the Prism Aura. Then, from here, we're going to activate Quartz to fuse using the Banishment, returning both cards back into the deck to summon a Seraphonite. Now, we are going to be further linking off into a Dagda. Dagda has to use two different names, and it can only activate its effect in response to a card activating on the field only. So in response to the on-field only, we're going to be chaining the Dagda to the Dispersion, attempting to fuse with the deck as we set the Mjollnir from the deck into our back row. Now we're going to go into the Seraphonite using the deck, and we send a Quartz plus a Neprum. The Quartz will trigger when sent to the grave to add the Neprum engraved back to the hand. We're going to additional summon with the Seraphonite. We're going to link off these three bodies into the Abao. Now, we're going to add back the Gemnite Fusion from engraved to our hand. We're going to be using the Abao, discarding the Gemnite Fusion to pop the Mjollnir. Now, let's Xyz rank 5 into this. A very important detail here is the fact that we have a fusion on the field as we're performing this play, as we have a Hollow Knight engraved with enough Gemnites to banish to ensure we can negate anything. So we see a Hollow Core, we see the Prism Quartz, we also have the Neprum. That is at least 3 Gemnites to ensure if they want to Nibiru, use anything imperm, we will negate it. And then, let's, after the rank 5 Xyz, detach material, target the Mjollnir, summon onto their side of the field. Again, we'll negate anything they may have mate, and just like that, they now cannot special summon for the next turn. Gemnite Fusion, add back. Now, very important, you only add back the Gemnite Fusion if you're still going to have enough Gemnites engraved to ensure that you can negate with the Hollow Core. And there you have it, just using Engraver or using a Brilliant Fusion to combo into putting a Mjollnir onto the opponent's side of the field for essentially a first turn kill. Use it and abuse it while you can, because I do suspect Konami will definitely ban this.